seeing a number, but I know it's much less than the number you gave. And we really were very, very cognizant of three things. Social Security, we're going to take care of it beautifully. Medicare and Medicaid. And we are going to save it, whereas the Democrats are going to, you won't have it. They will destroy Medicare and Medicaid, and they have to because their numbers don't work. So it's not going to happen. They're the ones that have destroyed Medicare. They have made it so bad already, they're going to make it a lot worse. But now we'll be in charge, so we're going to have no problem with Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security.
Yeah, what I guess I probably need to do more than anything here is point out that everything, you're in the fog of war right now. Everything you're hearing about the bill, you have to really sort of walk through it and do your digging on your own. Somebody asked me about this yesterday, and a great question. You always say, and I hear Glenn say it all the time too, is do your own research. Well, yeah, because whether it's me and I get it wrong, and I'm doing my best to get it right, but occasionally that happens, right? Or it's someone else and they're intentionally getting it wrong. They're leaving things out. They're not giving you context of everything, whatever it might be. You're going to have that happening. So what you need to do is you need to go actually look. Don't just read headlines, but look into the things, especially when it comes to big stories like this one. All right. So the big, beautiful bill, tax cuts. This is the latest tax cuts. Republicans argue. And by the way, if it was only the tax cuts, I would have voted for it. Just adjust that. But we're getting so much more. Tax cuts, Republicans and Trump argue, could spur enough growth to offset the cost the CBO and fiscal hawks say it would add. So just remember that. When you're hearing one-sided, whether it's Rand Paul or whether it's Thomas Massey, and I like these folks, Elon Musk, I like them all. But when you're hearing them talk about these things, you got to realize there's nuance to the conversation. And I respect a lot of these people. And I just, I want to make sure Elon, even in his messaging, seems to miss a big piece of this, is that the cuts that they're saying, the spending cuts that they want to do, can't be done in this particular type of bill. It's a process and procedure issue. Now, that's not Trump's fault. That's not even the people's fault that are in Congress. So when you have, and there is, we talked about a bit more of the rift yesterday between Musk and Trump on this, or Thomas Massey, whoever it might be, you have nuance that has to be considered. So critics say this is going to drive deficits above 7% of GDP, deepening long-term fiscal strain, and cutting health and food support. And now, that's the other thing. You got to know. The Democrats don't care about deficits. They don't care about spending. They just care that their spending is getting cut. So they care about cutting health and food support amid rising debt levels. That's all the Medicaid talk we just heard. Bill next heads to the House. Republicans racing to meet the self-imposed deadline July 4th. So what's inside? Here's what we have. Permanent Trump-era tax cuts. This is first and foremost. This is number one. Permanent Trump-era tax cuts from 2017. If these expire, it's a disaster for the country. It's a disaster for you and me personally, but it'll be a disaster for the country because your taxes are going to go up. And already, when you've seen inflation, which is another tax itself, gone up, I mean, you're going to be left with very little. The tax cuts aimed at boosting middle-class income and job growth. Again, that's the number one overall goal. But if it just did that, I'd be happy. But there's so much more. Here's the other piece. Border security. Billions for the wall. More Border Patrol agents and expanded deportation authority. ICE included in that, folks. It is the promise he stood on of securing the border and making the deportations happen to get rid of the folks who are here, the criminal aliens here, illegally. Defense spending, a significant increase in military funding, including new investments in weapons, pay raises for troops, and cyber defense, something that is critical in the future in the coming years ahead, because we know wars aren't going to always be kinetic. A lot of them are just going to be cyber and fought in cyberspace, particularly. Medicaid and welfare reforms. These are cuts to entitlements with tighter eligibility and work requirements. In other words, if somebody scammed their way on, or I'll put it to you this way, a lot of Democrat states, a lot of blue states like Michigan, trying to throw as many people on the Medicaid as possible. They want to bloat and inflate those rolls so that you are dependent on them and the government. Because whatever they give you, folks, you never really want them to take it away, and they never really want to take it away because that's just another way to control you. So there's a lot of people on those rolls, and particularly in Michigan, that really don't have to be on Medicaid. In other words, they can work, they can afford, they can get their own health insurance just like the rest of us. And the other people that do deserve it and need it, actually do need it, they should stay and will get the treatment and the coverage that they need. That's a whole other story, but they're conflating. Now, there's a massive number, and I didn't hear him say this, although this needs to be said. There's a massive number of people that are being covered on Medicaid, et cetera, that are being covered that aren't citizens. And I don't hear them talking about that at all. And the fact that you're struggling, put food on the table and pay your medical bills, et cetera, while people who have invaded this country are getting covered for free, now that should shock and disgust everyone. It absolutely should shock and disgust everyone. Now, we got more. I'm just beginning to scratch the surface of what's inside. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a second. Plus, a big problem, and I think it's a great time to address it right now. Patriotism hitting record lows in the country. I'll tell you who's really driving it, why it's happening, and how we fix it coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this on West Michigan Live. First, if you're able, please stand for the national anthem.
Smarter. Stream us.
Okay, getting smarter now.
It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, July 2nd. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story, another Whitmer debacle. The governor's office had negotiated with the company LG Energy Solution to build electric vehicle batteries at a brand new plant in Holland. The company announcing the $1.4 billion expansion is now complete with the help of hundreds of millions in taxpayer subsidies. The plant will not be producing EV batteries as promised. In other news, folks here in Michigan looking to hike through some of the state's trails over the 4th of July weekend may be in for a big surprise as they learn 60% of the roads still damaged from winter weather. This comes 3 months after Governor Whitmer promised to fix these areas hit by the ice storm. And a record 72 million Americans expected to travel over the 4th of July holiday. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
I'm Dr. Damon Tanton for Viome. Viome's full body intelligence test is the new science in anti-aging and life-extending insights. Viome analyzes your biological age to see if your body is aging too rapidly.
All right, sorry for
You'll
the
learn
folks
how
that
making simple, precise
had to stare at Whitmer's mug there the entire time we were in the break. Appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you so much for hanging out. Did you see any of the Alligator Alcatraz tour? There was a lot of great footage yesterday that came out. In fact, I've got it. I've already started seeing people talk about it and talk about how bad it is. And I can't believe he's got these gulags. He's got these prisons set up. But if you look at it, it looks like, to me, military barracks, except for the cages and things like that. It really isn't. It really isn't that bad as far as what they say. Now here's the official video that came out yesterday. Here we go. This is what it looks like, and stand by, folks. I'm going to say good morning to a few. Hang on in here. It's pretty nice. It's clean. Now, I can imagine it might be a little noisy, a little loud. You got a big building like that. And President Trump, remember, has told people they can self-deport. You can self-deport. They've already taken down, I've seen the pictures of this and then what Biden had, Obama, et cetera, and put them back to back, and it's really funny. Because this might be a little bit of an upgrade. And it's air-conditioned and nice and all of that. So we got more from the press conference. We're going to get into that coming up. Sharon, good to see you this morning over on the VIP Freedom Fam this morning. Remember, folks, it's just $7 to join. And if you want to join for a year, you get the first month free, right? Plus, you're going to get a copy of my book signed in. I'll send it to you as well. Terry, good to see you. Panda, good to see you too. Jill Marie. Hemi. No. Did I say Panda? I think I did. Andrew Stuff, good to see you, brother. Gritter's back. Good to see you, Gritter. Over on Rumble this morning. Rumble. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. More from inside the tour and what Trump and DeSantis had to say yesterday. Those two in the same press conference, kind of funny. It was a riot. Legacy, good to see you. SJ, Julianne, Terry, Paul, good morning. Thank you for clicking share and repost today over on Rumble. Smash that like button. That helps people know inside the Rumble algorithm that they like us, and they'll put us up front and center. Doug over on Facebook. Sean, Jason, good to see you as well this morning. I was looking for the Gators inside, though. Are they going to be bunkmates? No, turns out not. Hang on, folks. Back on the air. Stand by. So we got a bit of a problem, we're being told, a patriotism problem, and these numbers are at record lows. I've got the solution for it, and I want to talk about that, but I also want to give you the numbers. Yesterday, we we scratched the surface of it at the end of the show, and then we got into a really robust and detailed explanation and plan of attack yesterday during the after show. The show after the show. So I just want to make sure that you heard about this and we gave you a chance to participate, because I think more hands on deck on this, the better. And I'll explain to you. Speaking of which, we need you in the fight. Man, I've been telling you this for a while now. We need you to be the best husbands, the best fathers, the best men showing up in your calling on a daily basis. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. We got to have you. You need more energy, maybe more strength, the drive you used to have. It's all been fading. Well, it turns out it's not your fault. Testosterone levels in men have dropped every generation in normal ranges. They lie. That's why over 20,000 men have come to mentality, because normal doesn't build legacies. And like I said, we need you now more than ever in this fight. Save our country to save your families. Become the man you used to be, and even better, live longer. You've been waiting for a sign. This is it. Nothing's going to change, they say, until you do. mentalityhealth.com/radio. Go today and take your life back. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio. Back after this. Don't go anywhere. Check out our bottom of the hour headlines, and we're back with you next.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
T-Mobile Arena.
September 19th and 20th, streaming.
All right. right. More from Alligator Alcatraz during our news break here, folks. I'm going to pull up some of the video for you. Oh, yeah, I got some other news, too, that we should probably make sure that we hit. Trump settled the lawsuit with Paramount 60 Minutes over the Harris edit. Going to get $16 million. And the left is losing their minds over this, by the way. They are not happy about it. They are not happy. But good. I say good. You know what? When they monkey with this stuff, and of course they did it on purpose, it's like an in-kind donation. Now, the $16 million, he doesn't need it. It's not going to him, but it'll go to like donations to his foundation, his library, and things like that. So that's something that I think is very, very much needed. Very much needed. You got to send a signal to these people that you're not going to take it anymore, that you're not going to back down. Why? Because I really think what we're hearing, and in this story that we're going to go through here coming up in a little bit, this drop in patriotism and really pride in the country is due to folks like this at fake news. It's propaganda. It's due to people like this that are constantly banging the drum, anti-American. Not only are they deceiving folks about the past of the country, but they're also lying about what's happening now, whether that's leaving certain things out, context, etc. And I mentioned this earlier. Somebody reached out and said, how do I do my research? How do I do it? I'm going to come up with something over the next few days that I'm going to send out to folks in my good newsletter in the email. So I'm going to do a couple things. Number one, I'm going to, I don't know, maybe it's an ebook. I'm not sure. It's like a pamphlet or something, but it's a guide to tell you how to know what's real and what isn't. I think we're going to need this, I think, more than ever in the coming days ahead. But this guy also asked for, like, trusted sources. And I said, well, that's sort of the problem. I mean, you can have trusted. There are sources that I know, okay, so, you know, the main one maybe being like a Fox News. But then I also say, like, you can trust them as far as you can throw them kind of thing. So you want to verify everything, right? You want to go see, is this story posted up a couple of different places? And then you want to go dig in and see if you get as close to the original source as possible on it to find out exactly what it says and what it means. Because headlines can be written in such a way that really kind of hides or, in fact, leads you completely to a different and opposite conclusion what reality actually is. So that's coming in probably the next week or so. I'll have that put together, and I'm going to send it to you. So here's what I want you to do. If you haven't already done this, go make sure you get on my good newsletter. If you haven't done this yet, I'm going to send it to you. I send you all kinds of great stuff, right? This is for folks if you just want to stay up to date anyway, because you just never know with social media and everything else. But this is the best way to stay up to date on everything. JustinBarclay.com /good news will take you right there. But if you go to the website, period, it'll take you right there. Make sure you're getting updates. That's where I'm going to send the thing. I want to make sure that people have it and they have access to it. And this was a question that somebody asked me that really I thought, yeah, that really, you know what, that's a really good question, and I'd like to be able to make sure that I can point people in the right direction. So trusted sources, my operation, what I do on a daily basis, and there's a bit of I think there's a bit of discernment that folks have to learn as well on some of this. So I'm gonna walk you through that. I'm gonna teach you what exactly all of that means. There was something crazy yesterday that happened, and I don't know. We might have to get into this in the after show. But speaking of Alligator Alcatraz, this right here, this is nuts. It happened in Detroit. Protesters had to be arrested. They had this guy running through the streets of Detroit. ICE was going after this guy. Let me mute it because I don't know what the language is going to be like on this. But you can watch and see the violence that's happening. These protesters had to be pepper sprayed at one point. These aren't just protesters, by the way. I want you to look closely if you can see the video here. Let me zoom in. Do you see what it says? This is the Detroit News provided the video. Now, do you see what it says right here? Party for Socialism, Liberation, and Liberation News, People's Assembly. That's the credit of who took the video. What's the Party for Socialism doing there in the middle of all this? Well, you know what they're doing. They're causing chaos. They're raising Cain. There's a reason for this. They're in the middle of it because they want to push us further apart, and they want to cause all of this nonsense. By the way, these people are attacking police officers at one point, trying to get in between them and a raid. Do you know they actually had a warrant from a judge to get into this house? The guy fled on foot. The man that they were after, this illegal, fled on foot. And then you got these people in the middle trying to get in between and stop it all. They did eventually apprehend the guy. I think they had to arrest a couple of people as well. Tense confrontation between Detroit police, federal immigration agents, and protesters. Well, I wouldn't call those protesters. I'd call those folks criminals. And I'm going to tell you this, and we'll talk about this in more detail, I think, during the after show, but you got to start locking these people up. The longer they think they can do this sort of thing, then the longer they're going to continue to do it because they think they can get away with it. So this is, again, this is just part of what you aren't going to see on the. Did you see that on the nightly news last night? If you did, it probably was something that wasn't flattering of the police that were, again, can you imagine you're going into this situation? You've got to go into a house and get a guy out. You got a warrant for it now. You got to go in. You don't know what you're facing when you go in there. And not only are you facing a threat going that way, but also from behind, you got people you got to deal with as well that are trying to attack you. It's absolutely insane. So again, we're in the find out era, and these people must find out. We got to have consequences for these actions. In fact, there are natural consequences. It just happens all the time. And I say this, and I hate to think of this, but unfortunately, somebody's going to get hurt or killed in a scenario like this, and I don't want to see that happen. But when you see these folks involved with the People's Liberation of Social, whatever, socialist, whatever it is, Party for Socialism Liberation, whatever that is, then you know what you're going to get. Again, that's all part of this, I believe, this drop in patriotism and pride in the country. Hang on, let's get into that, folks. Stand by. I want to uncover why and how we fix it coming up.
These are recommendations for any individual.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend, Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Hey, we are just days away from the 249th birthday of this great nation. I want to get into it and talk about the big celebration that's yet to come next year, I think. We just can't wait to celebrate with you this weekend. And I've got details about one celebration you're going to want to be a part of. Coming up, we'll give you the full scoop in just moments as we are live on Wood Radio. So I talked about this yesterday in the after show, and I had folks say, "Man, you ought to talk about it on the radio," because I think folks missed it. I shared this story yesterday. There was a big news headline from Gallup that a poll said, "Yeah, pride is down, patriotism is down." And I said, "There's a truth to this. You got to do the digging. It's just like anything else. National pride just hit its lowest point in 25 years," was the headline. Only 58% of American adults now say they are extremely or very proud to be an American. But when you break the numbers down, here's what you find. 92% of Republicans say that their pride remains sky high. But Democrats have plummeted to 36%. Independents, 53%. The bulk of the drop in this last year came from Democrats. My question is, why do they hate America? Well, I'll tell you why. It is the mainstream media machine that over the last year has done as much damage as they could do to try to stop President Trump from getting reelected, in part, and try to stop you from being proud of this country. Because if you are, and let's be honest, this wasn't just something that happened over the last year. This is something that happened, well, it was decades in the making. It really was. This is something that they have been working on for generations. You know, we are the country, folks, that stormed the beaches of Normandy. We planted a flag on the moon. Blasted Bon Jovi through those tinny speakers there at the Berlin Wall as it all came crumbling down. But in 2025, nearly half of your neighbors shrug at the very idea of this country. And some of them are rabidly anti-America, but many of them, it's not their fault. See, they've been indoctrinated. Through the mainstream media, through the years, the scroll system, the public scroll system, as Rush used to call it, and that's exactly what it is. Because Democrats hate this country, they were taught to do so. Gen Z, even worse, only 41% feel much pride at all. Some may say this is just a phase, maybe it's just a hiccup. But I'm telling you, if we don't step up and stop it now, it will be the ruin of this great nation. Democrats and Republicans are separated from a 39-point pride gap. 39 points. We're talking about patriotism, the bare minimum. This is what it takes to glue the country together, folks, to hold us no matter what we're going through. Remember that old saying, just agree to disagree. Can't do that anymore. We're mortal enemies because we've been pitted against each other. Divide and conquer is the strategy. And a house divided cannot stand. So what's driving it? As I mentioned, we got civics classes that have turned into constant guilt trips. We binge watch outrage instead of neighborly news because the good news just doesn't sell. If it bleeds, it leads, right? That's why we try to bring you good news each and every day, maybe patriotic stories that make you feel good, and I think those are a part of the truth, even more so than what you're being told. And I don't know that the algorithm loves that as much as they love all their rage bait. The institutions, government, media, even the big box churches, some of these folks, you've seen them throwing away the American flag for other kinds. The result? A generation that feels like the American dream comes with an asterisk and a monthly interest fee. No wonder they feel like they do. But here's the good news. And yes, there always is. That's how I work. I want to make sure that you understand the problem, but also understand that there are solutions. And this is how we take our pride. This is how we take our patriotism. This is how we take our country back. See, pride, folks, just like anything else. The elite athlete that I am, I understand this most, that pride is a muscle. It strengthens with use. If you want to fix this, you don't wait for D.C. and the next Blue Ribbon Commission, although they're going to have quite a bit of that over this next year. And thank God President Trump was elected by his grace. I don't think the celebrations, 250th celebrations, would be on the scale, the scope, and the theme that they will be in the coming year if President Trump hadn't won. What we're going to do, we got 4 different things. Number 1, we need to resurrect the shared ritual. You got a chance to do that this weekend. That means dragging your kids out to the 4th of July parade. Stand for the anthem. And afterwards, you have those conversations. Talk about why fireworks still matter, why we do what we do. There's a historic approach to it. It isn't about just blowing stuff up because that's cool. It is cool, but there's so much more that lies beneath the surface. Number 2, this is big. You got to serve somebody. We got to step up as Americans. We got to volunteer. Go to the VA, coach Little League, clean up Main Street, pick up some trash. When you solve real problems face to face with real Americans, America stops feeling like some sort of abstract hashtag. It's real. And it doesn't matter what the news tells you because you've experienced it in real life for yourself. Number 3, tell the whole story. Yes, teach slavery and Jim Crow, but also teach the miracle of Philadelphia, the Tuskegee Airmen, Selma, the Apollo astronauts. Teach that the Republicans freed the slaves. Yes, we're a flawed country, but it's this flawed country and those brave men and women of conservative, faith-driven values that pushed to abolish the evil of slavery. It was Lincoln who did it. They talk about Juneteenth. That's become a big holiday now, too. But they hide the truth of where it came from and why it should be celebrated as a patriotic holiday, not one where they change up the colors. You ever notice that? The colors of Juneteenth are red, green, yellow, and black. They should be red, white, and blue. We got to have context to it all. Context isn't whitewash, it's perspective, and it's important. And number 4, we ought to get together and champion a moonshot. Demand that their reps back national service, vocational tech pipelines, first home zoning reform. Maybe give young Americans a stake, not a lecture. Maybe we help them understand why America is so great. And most importantly, like the passage of this big, beautiful bill, cut the red tape. Cut the hurdles, the obstacles that's in between these people and the American dream. Look, I'm going to tell you something. This poll is a siren. It's not a death knell. We've been here before. You've seen it in times like Watergate and Vietnam. But even after 9/11, we had a unity spike that eventually faded. But each time Americans have rebuilt pride the old-fashioned way. We roll up our sleeves, we tell the truth, and we dare to dream bigger. Bigger than the latest clickbait catastrophe or what's showing up in your feed. The challenge is simple today. This Independence Day and hereafter, don't just wave the flag. Earn it. Read the Declaration of Independence out loud at your cookout. Shake a veteran's hand. Actually, listen. These are easy things to do. That's simple, but they're also easy not to do. Post a little story of American greatness on your feed. And then post again. Because it'll get buried by all the other stuff that's out there. But keep posting. Because if we don't flex that pride muscle, someone else will decide what it means to be American. And trust me, their definition won't include liberty and opportunity or your kid's future. And America is still the last best hope right here on Earth. Let's act like it. All right, I want to tell you a way that I think you can take part, in fact, be a part of that mission this weekend. We join our guest next with the latest on an event that you will not want to miss. Don't go anywhere. It's West Michigan Live.
Asking the tough questions. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, July 2nd. I'm Robin Poffman. We begin with a Midwesterner.news original story. It's another Michigan EV battery deal gone bad thanks to the governor. Gretchen Whitmer had negotiated with the company LG Energy Solution to build electric vehicle batteries at a new plant in Holland as part of a $1.4 billion expansion. It's now complete thanks to hundreds of millions in taxpayer subsidies, but the plant will not be producing EV batteries as promised because of low demand for electric cars. This 4th of July weekend here in Michigan, people looking to hike through some of the state's stunning trails are in for a very negative awakening as they learn 60% of the roads still damaged from winter weather. This comes 3 months after Governor Whitmer promised to fix these areas extremely hard hit by ice storms. And as ICE agents extremely busy deporting criminal illegal aliens here in Michigan and in other states, a report from the Department of Homeland Security that assaults against the agents up by 700% from last year. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
The crown of Independence Day weekend for years has been the Living in Freedom
it's
event
Matt,
at
your
New
lead
Chapel.
filter.
Hey, it's Justin Barkley. This year, July 6th, they're hosting Pastor Willie George with thrilling carnival rides, games, inflatables, free food trucks, the car show, and giveaways, including family fun packs and a premium shotgun, and so much more. The best part? It's all free. Fun for the whole family. New Chapel, a quarter mile west of Alpine and 4 Mile. Living in Freedom, July 6th. Get all the details at newchapel.com/freedom.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often.
All right. Matter of fact, that's what we're going to talk about next, folks. Stand by. We're bringing in Pastor Joe Bevilacqua with us. I think he's here loud and clear. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Justin. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic, man. So good to have you today. And look at that background, folks. That's a real American right there. What? Hang on.
Come on.
What do you got? What is? I'm just trying to make sure I got.
Yeah, we got some whitetail up there. We got
Holy
some
smokes.
fallow deer. I think we got a fox hide behind me, and
Look
hopefully
at that.
bear back up there. That'd be kind of nice, wouldn't it?
Fantastic. Hang on, Pastor. We're gonna get you on in just a moment. Stand by. We probably have 30 seconds, and then we're gonna get into it. And folks, this event happening this weekend, New Chapel, I think will be a perfect event for you to attend. Bring your kids and be a part of. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. This is exactly what I was just talking about getting out and getting into it. Stand by. Here we go. Back on the air. Back at it, folks, and appreciate you being here with us today. Thanks for taking a moment to spend some time with us on this Independence Day weekend. I want to thank the folks at guardingyournestegg.com, Mike Lester and the team. I know it can feel like a roller coaster ride at times, especially these days, as Trump does everything he can to right the ship. It's going to take a little bit of back and forth to get there. And you can sleep well at night knowing that you're protected, that you won't just survive but thrive through all these challenging times. Mike and the team take custom approaches for every single individual and your retirement. Whether you want to retire today, 10, 20 years down the road, they're going to make sure that you're set and that you can sleep at night. Mike Lester at Talon Wealth. Reach out today, 616-661-1000. That's 616-661-1000. Or go online to guardingyournestegg.com. Now, we were just talking about what you can do to restore patriotism and pride in America. And one of those things I said, attend those events. Go out and be a part of what is happening. And particularly, I would say this weekend would be a great time to do just that. In fact, our good friend, Pastor Joe Bevilacqua, joining us from New Chapel in Grand Rapids. And, of course, off of Alpine there at 4 Mile. Is this the fourth or fifth year for this big Independence Day weekend event, Living in Freedom, Pastor?
This is our fifth annual. I'm so glad that I'm on with you, Justin. So good to see you. Fifth annual.
Well,
that's important. It's a big deal.
Where did this come from? Because I was a part of the first one, and there's been no looking back. I think it's important to remind folks where we came from and why you continue to do this.
Oh, it's massive. And, we're doing it as our part, but it's important that all of us like-minded people engage. And here's why. 5 years ago, don't forget, Lansing, someone in particular in Lansing, tried to shut down the world, tried to shut down churches. And I felt like, as even the senior pastor of a church, I didn't have the right to close our doors. And so we had a drive-in church the first several weeks, and then we opened up with 2 in-person and a drive-in. And it was in that season that you begin to see who the real patriots were. We get called a lot of names, I guess, these days, but Patriot is my favorite. And yes, that's when we met you, and we had you in for the first drive-in to freedom, which became Living in Freedom, and really became a flex of the fact that our freedom does not come from government. It does not come from Lansing. It comes from God Almighty.
I have to think about when I just talked about this, taking our country back and what it's going to take to do that. You know, it's interesting. Pastor Joe Bevilacqua with us right now in New Chapel. I remember this quote, and I know you're fond of it too. I think it was Adams who mentions how we ought to celebrate each and every year and the founding of our country, and it talks about the importance of things like fireworks and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, it talks about fireworks and bonfires and cookouts, and right in that list, it talks about showing and flexing our Second Amendment right with a gun. And so we, at this event, Living in Freedom, it's amazing. I mean, we have an amazing church service, 3 of them, 8:30, 10, and 11:30. We have Pastor Willie George, who was Gospel Bill back in the day, if you remember, a wonderful man of God, a general in the faith. And then afterwards, we lit out to the Freedom Carnival, and that's going to be fabulous. But part of that day is our raffles, and we want to celebrate with what has been customary and traditional in American heritage, and that is that we're raffling off a shotgun this year, premium shotgun, and we're proud of that. In fact, last year we got a little bit of a hit story. It actually became some really good press because Western Michigan, this is us. We are sportsmen. We are people who are like-minded and share the same values, and so we have giveaways for kids. We've got bikes and we've got different toy packs. We've got grills we're giving away, stuff for mom, but we're giving away a shotgun. What's so funny is in previous years, we've had preschool teachers and moms end up winning that gun. And you think, oh man, why didn't the guys win it? I'll tell you why, because the moms were the ones putting in for it. The guys they're already loaded. And so they wanted the grill stuff. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. And it's part of our American heritage. It's what we need to be doing. And that's what living in freedom is all about, as you well know.
I can't wait to be a part of it this weekend. It's going to be a blast. If folks want to come out again, lots of prizes, carnival, free food, and 3 fantastic church services. I think that's important, again, to bring into the picture as well as a faith, a major part of this country. It's founding. It doesn't happen without it. This great nation is founded and it's woven into the fabric of who we are. But New Chapel, a great place. Just spoke there a couple of weeks ago, and there's a reason why every year I'm a part of this event and we bring the family. But Pastor Joe Bevilacqua, again, tell us where folks need to go and maybe how they can find out more about what's happening.
Well, if you want more information, go to newchapel.com/freedom. On that site, it has all of the details. Bring your family out for one of our 3 church services, 8:30, 10, 11:30. That's where you're going to get a little bracelet that is your access. Everything's free. So all the raffles are free. The Freedom Carnival, we have inflatables, face painting, dunk tank, and everything in between. There's a car show, free lunch on us. Why are we doing all of this? Because our freedom comes from God and not government. And if we forget why we're doing this, why we need to celebrate, why like-minded people need to come together, then we are doomed to repeat some of the awful things that happened chiefly in 2020. But we're doomed to repeat that again in Michigan. Don't let off the gas just because, as our president says, you'll be so tired of winning. I get it. But don't be so tired of winning that you stop winning. We need to engage, get together, like-minded people, make a big deal out of Jesus, and then at the same time celebrate our patriotism and our freedom big. Living in freedom is all about that. newchapel.com/living in freedom.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that event. Pastor Joe Bevilacqua, newchapel.com/freedom. It's this Sunday, the 6th, Living in Freedom. Looking forward to seeing you there. Pastor, always a privilege, my friend. Thank you so much.
We love you, Justin. Western Michigan loves you. Talk soon.
God bless. Thank you, brother. Again, it's crucial. It's critical. Bring the family, the kids. They got to be exposed to this stuff. This is how we take our country back, one little fun event at a time. That's going to do it for us. The Glenn Beck program's coming up next. We got a jam-packed after show with the news from RFK that I guarantee you haven't heard Lester Holt or Anderson Cooper talk about. We'll get into it. Coming up next. Make it a great one. God bless.
Heavens, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The News News is next on Wood Radio.
You want the truth? Your body's telling you something. That edge you used to have, the energy, the strength, the drive, it's fading. And it may not be your fault. Hey, it's Justin. Testosterone levels in men have dropped every generation. In normal ranges, they lie. That's why over 20,000 men came to Mentality, because normal doesn't build legacies. Be the husband, father, grandfather, the man you were created to be. Visit mentalityhealth.com/radio and take back your fire today.
Looking for reliable plumbing services?
All right, behind the scenes live stream. Click share if you haven't done so already. Going to give you a chance to get in the running. We're going to give away something cool today. At the end of the show, if you do, somebody that shares is going to win and win big. Pastor Joe, thank you so much for being here with us and taking the time. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Always a pleasure, my friend.
It's going to be so great, Justin. Hey, thanks for everything you do. Western Michigan, honest, I mean that. We all love you. In fact, if you love Justin, would you just give a couple hearts in the comment section? It'd mean a lot for me. I'll see you this weekend, Justin.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Absolutely. We love the folks in New Chapel, and Joe and his family have become just great friends and family for us, and we just appreciate them. And I think you're going to love them too. All right, folks, stand by. Got to click a few buttons here, and then we're going. I got the after show fired up and ready to go. Coming up in just moments. Got to hit record, and then it's it. Oh, there's a treat for you today. I almost forgot to tell you. Tudor Dixon hosting the Clay and Buck show with our good friend Kyle Olson. Coming up today at noon, right here from West Michigan. Fantastic stuff. All right, hang on. Here we go. Stand by. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. And to it, the after show after the show. Appreciate you taking the time. Fireside chat tonight. Big reminder. Programming notes taking place about 8-ish tonight. Be out on the back deck, partying it up with you, answering all your questions. Ask me anything. We'll have great conversations tonight. Probably celebrating a thing or two here even yet that we just haven't gone through yet. We'll talk about that. I got some video from the Alligator Alcatraz event over the weekend. We got to make sure that we share. We'll talk about that with you. We've got RFK Jr. in some big news. Some news you don't want to miss. There's news that I just don't think that they're going to talk about, the nightly news. We won't talk about it on MSDNC or CNN and any of the rest of them. And it's news that I had yesterday, but I just didn't have the time to get to it. More clips coming up that you won't want to miss today, too. But first, I want to thank our good friend Mike Lindell and MyPillow.com/Justin, mystore.com/Justin. I will tell you, Mike is a fighter. You know how he's been fighting for this country and, of course, for truth, justice, and the American way for a long time now. Mike has put it all on the line. He's pledged his sacred honor. He's pledged his treasure. He's pledged everything. And they came after him. They tried to shut him down. They've tried to do this to Mike and so many others. But it's been folks like you who have stood up and said, no, we're not going to do this. Not on our watch. We are going to fight back. And Mike, I know he appreciates it. They got a 4th of July sale that's happening right now with MyPillow. You want to make sure that you can support Mike? Do it today. Go to MyPillow.com/Justin or MyStore.com/Justin and check out the great sales. It's a 4th of July sale you don't want to miss. 80%, up to 80% off on some of the things that they have. The sheets, the bedding, all of that, plus the new energy drink, which I've yet to try, but I'm sort of a fan of those anyway, so I can try that out. Or you want USA products. Well, they proudly USA products at mystore.com/Justin. Anytime this is the good news, probably the best part of this. Anytime you buy anything from Mike, you support Mike, you also support us and keep this show on the air. You think to yourself, well, you just get on Facebook and ramble or whatever you're watching me on. for like a little bit of time while you're on the air, and what do you need support? Well, now everything we do here takes money to run. It takes money to send you emails. It takes money to send you this because we have software that has to send this out to you. It takes money to run the Rumble channel. That's another piece. There's so many little pieces of this puzzle that go together, and of course, your help, your support help make it possible. MyPillow.com, MyStore.com/Justin. So save, and as you're saving, you're going to help save the nation and this program at the same time. We appreciate you being here with us and doing that. Thank you so much, folks. Here it is. Tucker did the interview, and RFK Jr. on the interview exposed something that I think is explosive. A cover-up at the CDC that they're not going to cover. They won't talk about this again, the Nightly News or MSDNC or CNN, any of these places. They just won't. Why is it important you hear it? So that you can share this with other people. They know the truth.
What you would do if you wanted to find the answer, which is to compare outcomes in a fully vaccinated group to health outcomes in an unvaccinated group. And CDC did that study in 1999. They brought in a team of scientists under a Belgian researcher named Thomas Verstraeten, and they looked at the data. They looked at children who had received the hepatitis vaccine within the first 30 days of life, and compared those children to children who had received the vaccine later or not at all. And they found an 135% elevated risk of autism among the vaccinated children.
I'm going to repeat this because, look, RFK is great, but I want to make sure that with the voice and everything that you understand what he's saying here. The CDC did research. They looked into all of the questions about autism and all the other things that people have questions about, particularly the link, though, between autism and vaccines. One particular vaccine, the hepatitis B vaccine. They found an 1,135% increase. 1,135% increase. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like this before. They found it to be so troubling, so alarming that they actually had to shut it down. They wouldn't share it. They quit talking about it.
And it shocked them. They kept the study secret, and then they manipulated it through 5 different iterations to try to bury the link. And, we know how they did it. They got rid of all the older children, essentially, and just had younger children who were too young to be diagnosed. And they stratified the data, and they did a lot of other tricks. And all of those studies were the subject of that kind of trickery.
It is incredible to me. It is evil on another level. They knew, and yet they insisted on hiding this. Why? They didn't want the jig to be up. They didn't want to be caught. And now that we know, now that the story's starting to come out there in the clips, obviously, go watch the full Tucker episode. But now that we know, we're just starting this is the find out era, right? So we're just starting the whole revelation process. And then there's going to be accountability. These people need to be in jail. And as Gritter likes to say, for some of these folks, not enough rope. That's just unfortunately where we are right now. So again, big story, one that I think is going to continue to get covered. But it's only going to be folks like me. It's going to be folks like Tucker obviously having these conversations. And when the mainstream media does cover it, what they will do is they will cover it up. They will call him a kooky, wacky conspiracy theory. But they've got the data to prove this. And the worst part, in fact, it might be the best part, it's the CDC's own data. Well, I'll tell you one thing they also don't want to report. Boy, it just absolutely killed them to have to do this. But it's more good news. Not that the vaccine issue is good news in itself, but the fact that truth is coming out is the good news. They just didn't want to tell you this. Gas prices at new year 4-year lows, folks. Gas prices at new 4-year lows on CNN.
It's pretty good news for millions of drivers expecting to hit the road for the 4th of July weekend.
It looks like gas prices are about to get cheaper.
Gas prices are currently the lowest that they've been since 2021.
They're the lowest since 2021.
Hitting a 4-year low.
This doesn't just apply locally. Trends are being seen nationwide,
including in Michigan, where it's about 42 cents cheaper to fill up than it was this time last year. Pennsylvania, Illinois, Nevada, a number of other states seeing significant drops.
Gas prices are much lower than we have seen in recent years.
$2.68 per gallon, or more than a dozen stations in Duval and St. Johns County.
The national average could fall below $3 as early as September.
This translates to Americans spending about $500 million less on gasoline this holiday weekend versus last.
That's huge. By the way, thank you, President Trump. They didn't want to talk about it.
Good news for millions of drivers expecting to hit the road for the...
Pretty good news. Hey, you know what's wild is you hear him talk about this one big, beautiful bill. Now they call it the big, ugly bill. But you know what's wild to hear? I haven't heard him talk about tariffs in a long time. Have you heard anybody talk about tariffs? When was the last time you heard talk about the price of eggs? They just sort of forgotten about that, haven't they? They just sort of forgotten. No, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to touch on that at all. No. Don't talk about that, whatever you do. Isn't that something? Just wild. Here's more news. CNN did not want to have to deliver the other day. They just had to admit it. Trump's approval ratings are so high they're even higher than Reagan's. In fact, they're saying it's history-making. That's how they describe the high level of his approval ratings. Take a look at this. Wild. Now we're getting the circle of death here. Well, we may not have the clip for you, folks. Yeah, we'll see if we can get it launched up for you. In the meantime, what else can I make sure? Oh, we got the Diddy verdict. The jury has reached a Diddy verdict, folks. All of the counts are in right now. We don't know what it is.
We know jurors came back yesterday afternoon to say while they had reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts, which are the charges of sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution, there were unpersuadable jurors on the racketeering conspiracy, the charge that could put Diddy behind bars for the rest of his life. Just to recap for our viewers, prosecutors got the final word with jurors this past Friday in their rebuttal to closing arguments from the defense. Lead prosecutor Maureen Comey saying in part, quote, "For 20 years, the defendant got away with his crimes. That ends in this courtroom. Overwhelming evidence proves his guilt. It is time to hold him accountable. The government has used witness testimony, bank statements, phone records, explicit text and videos, and injury photos to argue Diddy ran a criminal enterprise, fueling and concealing sex crimes. This 2-month-long trial now comes down to this moment where we wait to see, were jurors persuaded on the argument by the prosecution? Did they find him guilty on this most serious charge, racketeering conspiracy? As we've been talking about, we all knew this would be a difficult charge to prove to jurors because of how complex it is, and now we are just waiting here at the courthouse to find out more. Bill, I want to send things back over to you.
Hang with us here, CB. We're getting a note from our producers inside the courtroom that Sean Diddy Combs just entered the courtroom. He appeared to smile a little, but he is now seated alone at the defense table. His lawyers stand. Those lawyers, Mark Agnifilo, and along with the prosecutors yesterday, told the judge, CB, they did not want to accept a partial verdict. So it seemed like both sides and the judge were telling the jurors, go back at it and see if you can reach a conclusion. Is that right?
While we're waiting for the verdict to actually, the full verdict to come down here, folks, I'm just going to pause. for just a moment here, and just a moment. We got to make sure that we, as you were here earlier, you heard us talking about the Living in Freedom event, but we got to make sure that we give it justice and play this little reminder for folks, because obviously, you know, we're going to be recording this live. We're doing this. We're recording the what's known as the behind-the-scenes live stream, and this itself is the inflatables, free food trucks, the car show, and giveaways, including family fun packs and a cast. So stand by. Got to make sure that we get this in there and that it makes it the actual spot here for Living in Freedom. Stand by. The crown of Independence Day weekend for years has been the Living in Freedom event at New Chapel. Hey, it's Justin Barkley. This year, July 6th, they're hosting Pastor Willie George with thrilling carnival rides, games, inflatables, free food trucks, the car show, and giveaways, including family fun packs and a premium shotgun, and so much more. The best part? It's all free. Fun for the whole family. New Chapel, a quarter mile west of Alpine and 4 Mile. Living in Freedom, July 6th. Get all the details at newchapel.com/freedom. You know, I don't know if we're going to get the verdict while we're here, if it's going to get read in time or not. But we will we'll make sure that we get to it if we do hear, again, the verdict from the Diddy trial. Is all of the counts now. They have verdict on all the counts.
Engaged in prostitution, 2 counts of that. Some of that involved crossing state lines, etc. The jurors said they were set on counts 2 through 5, but not on count 1. So now we await to hear from the jury very soon.
That could come at any moment now. So some more from Fox News.
Video in. Now they may not have been able to get it. They may have been able to get it in other ways, but bottom line is that became part of the pattern and practice of his organizational activity here, and that really allows you to pile it on. And we'll have to see if it worked.
Just another note from inside the courtroom. The Combs children returned. They're inside the courtroom. I mentioned the attorney for Sean Diddy Combs, Mark Agnifilo, apparently shaking his head a little and looking down. The defense attorneys were standing at that moment, and the prosecutors were sitting. I don't think that means anything here nor there. But criminal defense attorney Donna Rotano's with us. And Donna, good day to you. Just that point that Paul was making there about that video in the hotel room in 2016. It's got to be tough for a defense attorney when you see something like that.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Oh, gotcha. Donna, if you're with us, go ahead and chime in here. Otherwise, we'll continue our conversation with Paul Morrow and back downtown to CB Cotton. What about that video, CB?
All right, while we're waiting, let's play some of the clips from yesterday's big press conference, Alligator Alcatraz, because we don't have the verdict just yet. But we'll keep it behind the scenes. I'll keep this open, make sure when we get it, we'll let you know what it is. Again, that's a really disgusting, despicable case. One that we think has ties is like the Paul Epstein. We'll get the latest on that coming up here in just a second. Alligator Alcatraz yesterday, Okeechobee, Florida. This is the Everglades where they built Alcatraz.
So well with the federal government. It's been just a beautiful, beautiful partnership. So, Ron, I'd like to thank you personally. You're my friend, and you'll always be my friend. And we may have some skirmishes even in the future. I doubt it, but we'll always come back because we just we have blood that seems to match pretty well. We have a relationship that's been a very strong one for a long period of time, and I appreciate it. Very much appreciate it.
Wow, what an interesting point. In fact, I got to play some of the moments between President Trump and Ron DeSantis there together. Those two in the same press conference, it was impressing, I can tell you that much. But speaking of impressing, here's what President Trump's been able to get done just in the last week alone. Stephen Miller, aide to the president there, talking.
When President Trump came into office on January 20th, the United States had endured the largest wave of illegal immigration in human history. Not just American history, human history. And within just a few days, President Trump, through his strength, leadership, diplomacy, and vision, achieved the most secure border anyone in the world has ever seen. When we recently went overseas to the NATO summit, I had senior staff in foreign governments come up to me and ask me how he achieved the Trump miracle on his border, and could that be replicated in their countries. For individuals who don't work in this space, To have 0 successful illegal entries in an entire month should be an impossible achievement. There's a 2,000-mile border with one of the poorest countries in the world, and you have open travel from 150 countries into Central America and South America. There are 2 billion people in the world that would economically benefit from illegally coming to the United States. And through the deployment of the military, through the deployment of novel legal and diplomatic tools, through the building of physical infrastructure, through the empowering of ICE and Border Patrol, and the entire federal law enforcement apparatus, President Trump achieved absolute border security. And now, once this legislation is passed, he will be able to make that with those resources permanent. Watching what you've done, sir, has been one of the honors of a lifetime. I'm proud to be able to play any role in it. And what President Trump is going to achieve next with the resources in this bill will make America safer, stronger, freer, more sovereign, and more prosperous than it has ever been before. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, Stephen Miller last night having a conversation over on Laura Ingram's show talking about Alligator Alcatraz in particular and the tour inside. Listen to what he had to say last night.
We want to go to every Republican state. Now, of course, in a sane country, Democrats would do it too, but they love the illegals. They hate the Americans. We want every governor of a red state, and if you're watching tonight, pick up the phone, call DHS, work with us to build facilities in your state so that we can get the illegals out, we can get the criminals out. And also, very importantly, Laura,
found
we need Congress
not
to pass.
guilty
We have
on the racketeering conspiracy charge in this federal case.
Not
the
guilty.
verdict on the 4 remaining counts are not
That
read
one,
yet.
That one would have given him life in
Here's
prison.
Another alert.
Give
Combs
a
found
verdict.
not guilty in the sex trafficking of his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
Not
Here's
guilty.
Another one. Combs found, okay, so this is count 2 now. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs found not guilty of sex trafficking. And that applies to the girlfriend who went by the pseudonym as the name Jane.
Sherry says Diddy's
And
getting
CB,
off.
I'll bring you in. I just want to read one more alert here because
One correction again, apparently.
the duplicate as it's coming in. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution with the former girlfriend who I just mentioned as Jane. So those are 5 quick alerts that just came up on the Reuters wire, and we're awaiting more from inside the courtroom as we speak. Does that line up, CB, with what you have down there at court?
Bill, so what I'm looking at, count 1 through 5, the only count that I see that Diddy has been found guilty of is count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution as it pertains to Diddy's ex-girlfriend and accuser, Cassie Ventura. The other 4 counts I am seeing. Excuse me, let me backpedal a little bit, you guys. This is all breaking in. We're dealing with rolling thunder out here. So I'm seeing Diddy has been found guilty on 2 counts. The transportation to engage in prostitution counts, count 3 and count 5, as they pertain to Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura, and another former girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym Jane. What I am seeing right now are guilty verdicts on count 3 and count 5. And I can tell you that prosecutors, when they argued that Diddy transported these women in male escorts across state lines to engage in prostitution, they pulled...
All right, here's what we have. Guilty on count 3 and 5, transportation to engage in prostitution. According to Nick Sorter over on X, Nick also says he's found not guilty. These were the big ones. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy. That would have put him in jail for life. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, count 2, and count 4. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. This is a New York jury in a federal courthouse in New York where he's from. It does not seem wild that he would get off here. But just wrap your head around the fact that this guy is getting off of this, and they wanted to throw President Trump in jail last year, at the same time. with a jury there. It's just wild. Back with a little bit more from Fox to get some context here.
With Cassie and Tim, and at this point, right now, we can see from this verdict sheet that Diddy has been found guilty on count 3 and count 5. He has been found not guilty on the most serious charge, racketeering conspiracy. He's been found not guilty on count 2 and count 4. Those are the sex trafficking counts. The only counts he has been found guilty of are the transportation to engage in prostitution. And I want to say that comes with a possible prison sentence of 10 years in prison. Of course, we're dealing with breaking news, so a lot of information is coming in, and we're working to learn more. But there is a crowd gathered here outside the courtroom. I'm not sure who is among this crowd, but Bill and Dana, I know you've been watching the trial closely, and you know there are a slew of Diddy supporters out here who have come every single day. It looks like what appears to be one of Diddy's supporters is out here in front of the courthouse explaining to cameras perhaps why he believes someone he supports was vindicated of the most serious charge, racketeering conspiracy. There are hundreds of cameras, and we're waiting to get some more color from inside the courtroom.
You got it.
But we know that jurors came back with this ultimatum.
All right, here's what I want to know. I want to know what kind of jail time could he get for those 2 guilty verdicts.
I just want to repeat the main headline, and that is this: Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering. The racketeering is the most serious charge. That was count 1. That would have put him behind bars for the rest of his life, not guilty on that charge. So to recap, of the 5 counts, 3 not guilty, Dana, and 2 guilty in Manhattan Federal Court, New York City.
Right. We want to bring back, we have Donna Rotuno that is with us, but let me just ask Paul Morrow a quick question to follow up on something you said earlier, Paul, about there would be opportunities for Diddy Combs to appeal. And on these 2 guilty counts, would that apply in your estimation, what you know of the case?
He certainly is going to appeal. Whether or not he's held in jail, I would suspect he will be. Each of these counts carries 10 years. This is the notorious Mann Act. As many people may have heard, it's echoed down through history. There's been famous people. Charlie Chaplin was charged with this. He beat it. They got Chuck Berry on this. R. Kelly was charged with this. So very clearly, what the jury seems to have decided here is that the prostitution stuff happened, but the rest of the stuff was not coercive. And in fact, it was transactional. And that seems to be the atmospheric from these, these verdicts. And it is, you have to say, in light of what he was looking at, you have to say that this is pretty close to a victory and a rare swing and a miss for the Southern District of New York.
So we'll see what happens here. Does he get 10 years for both? So they'll serve them consecutively or together at the same time. If he does, will he even actually do 10 years? Will there be an appeal? What happens with the appeal, etc.? I know there's going to be a lot of people that are upset about that. Look, this story isn't just about him and his ex-girlfriend. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes with it. And it's one that, again, we really just haven't spent a lot of time really personally on and digging into because there's just so much going on in the world. But it is a story. It's another one of those big ones that folks are certainly interested in and very important. All right, what about the specs of Alligator Alcatraz? We'll do a little bit more on this, and then we will cut the show a little bit short because of the noise outside the studio. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's like a drilling into the side of the building. It's nutty.
The detention facility includes over 158,000 square feet of housing and is a fully aluminum frame structure rated for winds of 110 miles an hour or a high-end Category 2 for those people that don't think that we're taking that into consideration. This is Florida, by the way. Power supply is fully redundant with backup generators in place. We've put a staff village here on site with a capacity of 1,000. Our services are hot meal 3 times a day, 24/7 medical facility, pharmacy, air conditioning, access to indoor and outdoor rec yards, legal and clergy support services, laundry. Our security element is over 200 security cameras throughout the facility, more than 28,000 feet of barbed wire, 400 plus security personnel to include 200 men and women, soldiers and airmen underneath Major General John Haas's command as the Adjutant General of Florida. And it's all surrounded, as you pointed out, Mr. President, by 10 miles of beautiful Florida Everglades. Detention facility.
That's right. That's it. It's the best deterrent, kind of like Alcatraz itself with the sharks. Now there they got the gators. Anyway, this was quite the press conference. I didn't realize how many people were there. Byron Donalds, of course, a gubernatorial candidate. With DeSantis, DeSantis' wife has thought about running too. So there's a little bit of talk about that in between there. But I don't know that we've landed on anything significant there. But he has some comments.
There we go. First of all, Mr. President, we all have to thank you for your leadership and for the mandate that the American people gave you to finally secure our borders and to deport criminal illegal aliens and longstanding illegal aliens out of the United States. That is a mandate given to you by the American people. I know Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller, Governor DeSantis, myself, on behalf of the other members of Congress in the Senate, and of course here in Florida, we are behind you 100% in that mission. To the governor, I really appreciate you and commend you for your leadership on this, taking swift, decisive action to building this facility. One of the things that has occurred because of the work you did earlier this year with the legislature is that our sheriffs are out there every single day. They are arresting these criminal aliens in our streets, and they're seeing some backlog in their jails. So this facility primarily goes to address some of that backlog and then to help us fulfill the mission that the president has led us to. So Governor, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your decisive action on this. It really does mean a lot to all the people of Florida, of course the people of the 19th Congressional District.
Byron Donalds, a congressman from Florida, talking about that there. Now, here's a little bit more from the tour. They had some behind the scenes. You can see DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, along with Governor Ron DeSantis and the president there yesterday, looking at some of the facilities there. You know, for me, I'm just kind of blown away at how fast they were ever able to get everything up and running and how quickly they moved.
So I thought this was so professional and so well done that you should come and look at it as opposed to standing around and not knowing where we are. And we're just taking tours through the areas where they stay and the areas where the medical is and all. And they've really done, between Kristi and Ron and the whole group, it's really government working together. And congratulations to you two guys. But I want you to see it as opposed to waiting for us and then say, how was it? Right?
You're beautiful. All right. There's some together with the Governor DeSantis and President Trump on the tarmac yesterday. Here's a little bit of that.
Say is, don't let Florida be the only state. We've got very red states that should be doing this just as much as Florida's doing. That will increase their numbers. And then what happens is you'll have a lot of people that will deport on their own because they don't want to end up in an Alligator Alcatraz or some of those other places. So I think this is a model, but we need other states to step up.
I was going to ask you, would this be enticing for other states to come up with their own model?
They are doing it. We have Louisiana doing it big. Alabama's doing it. We have a lot of states. They seem to be red states and not too many blue states for whatever reason. You know, it's but the red states, Republican-run states, are doing it. The blue states don't do very well at security and police.
There was one little thing that I thought was very interesting before the midterms. There's a question about redoing the census because the fact that so many of these folks were on the books. And in places like California particularly, that's what added. Did you know if they were taken off the books, California would have 5 fewer, most likely Democrat, representatives in Congress?
How many Americans with proof of citizenship are in our area, in our country, redistricting some of the House districts? Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll speak for both of us. We love it. Okay, you're going to like this one. I know all about it. We want to bring our elections back. The election in 2020 was rigged, millions and millions of votes. It had to do with COVID and a lot of things, but it really had to do with the crooked people. The Democrats are very good at cheating on elections. And that's why I said too big to rig. They tried this one too. But after about 9:02, they gave up too many votes. You know, too big to rig. Ron would love it. I would love it. Kristi would love it. That's what they have to do. They have to bring it back. And we have to look. You know, Ron, they include anybody that happens to be in your state.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census gypped Florida of at least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives and the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Mr. President, I think it's going to do very well. A lot of people, I don't know if you've heard about it, it's captivated the country. Everybody wants it. It's going to get in. It's going to pass. And we're going to be...
Yeah, there you have it, folks. That would be fantastic news. All right, we got to pick our winner today, but before we pick our winner for sharing, if you haven't already done so, click share right now. I got to show you this video. This is amazing. I don't know if you saw this. This is not the good news necessarily, but it happened at a warehouse. It caught fire, warehouse storing fireworks. It is wild, and we're sharing, though. Speaking of which, if you haven't already shared or reposted, either on X or Facebook or a Rumble, do so now. Massive flames, massive explosion. And then you have the pops going off afterwards. Holy cow. It's just wild to watch, man. Look at that. I've never seen anything like it. I saw one the other day, though. I will tell you this. I saw one the other day where a car accidentally, probably like an older person, unfortunately, forgot where the gas and the brake was. And an older person, I think probably, drove into a fireworks store and set the place ablaze. That's incredible. Never seen anything like it, folks. Never seen anything like it. Don't forget, this weekend, we're going to be at New Chapel, Living in Freedom, the Living in Freedom event on Sunday. It's free for everyone to attend. There's a carnival, there's free food, there's all kinds of prizes, and 3 great church services starting at 8:30, 10, and 11:30. More at newchapel.com/freedom. All right, our winner today is Tammy Dykstra. Tammy, congratulations. Tammy is going to get a book, a good news, hope, and encouragement for trying times. Tammy, I'll sign it and send it to you. Just email me, Justin at Justin Barkley, if you'd like it made out to you or maybe a friend, somebody else. I can do that as well. Thank you so much, Tammy, and everyone being a part of the show again today and every day. We always appreciate you. Fireside chat happening tonight, 8-ish. Make sure you're here for all of the fun, 8-ish Eastern. Back with you then. Make it a great one, folks. Again, Diddy gets off again. Only guilty of 2 counts. Could get him 10 to 20 years. We'll have to see what the latest details are on that as they come out when it comes to sentencing. And they also got off of the big racketeering charges that would have given him life in prison. Lots of talk on that, I'm sure, over the next day or so. We'll keep you posted with the latest as the news breaks. Stick with us. Make sure you follow us everywhere we are. Online, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, and sign up for the good newsletter so we can stay in touch. JustinBarclay.com today. God bless.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.